I'm thrilled at today's guest. I'm a big fan. We share a lot of the same beliefs. He's got a new book out, authored. He's the author of the new book, Dead Center in Defense of Common Sense, Senator Joe Manchin, former senator and governor of West Virginia. Welcome to the show, sir.
Thanks for having me, Donnie. Good to be with you.
So I want to restart with a quote from the book because it sums up.
Sure.
You obviously were a Democrat. You recently became an independent. And you said,
Yeah.
in becoming an independent, I found myself exactly where I wanted to need to be, in dead center, standing with the majority of Americans who refuse to pledge allegiance to anything except the Constitution, common sense, and the greater good. This is where the most of America lives. Why can't politicians get it right?
I don't know, Donnie, because I think that they're getting rewarded for bad behavior and all the money is going to the extremes. I can't give you any other answer than that because I know it's very profitable. The business model that both of them have, my Democrat friends and Republican friends both have the same business model, create an awful lot of fear and hatred. And then we have to go after and defeat the other side. And right now, nothing's getting done because of that. And this turmoil, and people are just getting exhausted by it. And they would like to see more of us in the middle, Donnie, that you look at the common sense and how you make things happen. But you know one thing? Common sense is pretty common, doesn't get you too excited. You expect to do the right thing. You're expected to have good decisions and things of this sort. Create chaos, and you got me all fired up, I guess. And that's what they want.
You know, you talk about common sense. It comes from your roots growing up in Pennsylvania. Your father had a retail store, and you use the terms which so smart for politics, customer service. And that's what it should be about.
In little West Virginia, a little coal mining town I grew up in, West Virginia, 500 people or less. My father had a little furniture store. My grandfather had a grocery store. And I learned about customer service. And I said, the customer is king. Without the customer, a satisfied customer, you've got nothing. Best word of advertising, satisfied customer. That's all I ever heard. And I grew up in little retail. And fast forward, I got into politics. And I said, I would go out and give talks. I said, let me tell you, I'm putting retail politics. It'll be retail politics. Retail politics, you're the customer. You're the most important person that I have to serve today. And I'm going to make sure that you're served and served well, that you'll tell all your friends where to come and get more of this service. That's how we approached it when I first got involved in 1982. I kept it all the way through, Donnie. That's how I ran my Senate office till the day I left. And I can tell you, people appreciate that. And I used to tell them, I said, let me ask y'all, how many of y'all get excited and says, boy, I can't wait to talk to the IRS today. It's going to be such a great day. They would all laugh. They don't expect to get good. You know what? It was a monopoly.
Yeah.
And now we have a duopoly, Donnie. The Democrats and Republicans own it, control it. They control the districting, the gerrymandering that goes on. They control the primaries of how they can control who you get to vote for. And then basically they can block anybody and everybody else out that they don't want involved. And then they can target you if you're not a good enough Democrat or Republican.
Yeah. That's what I can't tell you the amount of people, Democrats and Republicans, that said to me, and I know you thought about a run, I would vote for Joe Manchin if he ran for president. Yeah. This is where people, that's the shame of this thing. This is where people are.
Well, Donnie, what I wanted to do, just to be on the platform, just say, let me ask you, if I'd have been there with Donald Trump and with Joe Biden, I said, guys, come on. You know it doesn't work this way. People are just worn out. Can't we just come together? All they're wanting is, we want a secured border. But we want it legalized, and we want an immigration system, a legal immigration system that works. Can't we do both?
Yeah.
Can't we fight crime and stop crime? And if it takes someone said about crime, they said, Joe, if you were still governor, and I said, if I'm still governor in my state and I can't control the crime and I have a crime-ridden area in my state, bring in the Marines, the Air Force, bring everybody in, but don't leave me high and dry when you leave me. Show me how I can maintain this crime-free area. That's what the president has to be concerned about right now. But the Democrats, Donnie, can't say, hey, guys, we made a mistake on the border. We want to work with the governor, with the president now, but we want him to work with us on legal immigration. That's all.
You've talked about, now I'm Democrat, now independent. I'm really kind of fed up with the party. You've talked about the Democrats need to work with Trump. How do you do that when you have a guy who just completely vilifies the other side at all times? I mean, is that a doable thing?
The only thing I can tell you about Donald Trump is this. I've known him. I've worked with him. I was the only Democrat.
I've known him for years. I've known him for years also.
Yeah, you've known him for a long time. You know who he is. Okay. There's not a more charming person one-on-one.
Oh, are you kidding me? This guy, I always say, because he is the most ingratiating. When you're with him alone, he can't, that's why people always say, did you see, I didn't kind of see Some of the stuff I never saw that coming. I never saw it coming.
Well, when the camera's on, it's it's The Apprentice again.
Yeah,
we're back to The Apprentice, and that's really what it is. So I tell people this. I said, listen, I can tell you, he doesn't seem to hold a grudge or whatever. It's whatever's beneficial.
Completely transactional.
He's really transactional. And the bottom line is this: if Donald Trump, if I disagree with him, you do it just in such a respectful way. So, Mr. President, listen, I know where you're coming from, and I want to help you. I want you to be successful, but I can't get there on this, and here's my problems. Can you help me through it? You have to be in that, in that scenario with him, that he's always helping you, and he's the president. So I want him to succeed. And on the other hand, if he starts getting mad and calling you names and everything, I would just say this. I don't think he really means that, because he's my best friend. He's a little hot right now, but he'll get over it.
Yeah.
He has a vice president that called him every name in the book. He still made him vice president.
Yeah.
He has other people in his cabinet that called him names in the campaign. He gets over that. He's transactional. It's whatever's best, and we can move forward. So don't get upset about that. Keep working and trying. I'm right now praying, Donnie, I'm praying that his better angels start speaking to him and say, Mr. President, we need you to be the comforter in chief.
Yeah. What would you do right obviously, in wake of the horrific tragic shooting, Charlie Kirk? What would you do if you were president right now?
I would basically, what I've done when I was governor of the state of West Virginia, and we had these horrific mine disasters where 29 miners got killed one time. I had 12 others in another mine. I had families everywhere. I knew where the problem was. I knew we had to change some of the mining laws, but I wasn't putting the blame at that time. I was worrying about these families getting through the most horrible time of their life, how they would go conduct themselves without the breadwinner in their family. And I had to be there to comfort them and tell them, we're going to be with you. This country right now needs the president to be the leader, needs to be the comforter in chief. And that's what they're wanting. I'm praying that he don't have to throw the red meat to the side to basically his base. They're going to always be there for him.
That's the irony of this whole thing, that he could be such a hero right now if he just come and say, you know what, it comes from both sides. We know that.
Well, let's ask him to do it, Donnie. Let's ask him.
Mr. President, this is the time you stand up and you bring us together. People are waiting for that. And I know you've said that. You said that this morning on Morning Joe.
Yeah, you're our leader, Mr. President, and we need you to be that comforter in chief. You're the commander in chief. Right now, we need a comforter in chief. You need to comfort and calm things down a little bit. And he said yesterday, Donnie, that basically this young man who committed this horrific crime, or accused of committing this horrific crime, was radicalized by the internet. It wasn't some cult or some movement.
Yeah. So
if that's the case, then let's look at the people that are the culprits, which is the tech people. All these social platforms. Can't we basically revamp to Section 230? We've got free speech, but we've got guardrails on free speech. Free speech doesn't mean you can say anything, any place, anytime, anywhere. It doesn't. But now with Section 230, they're not held accountable, responsible for anything they put on their platform.
No.
And Donnie, this is the result. So, Mr. President, help us there. Corral this thing back in.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting to see what happens with the memorial on Sunday and the tenor of that. I hope it's celebratory of Mr. Kirk's life and not a political event, for lack of a better word. We'll see.
Well, there's a place and time for everything. And I can tell you right now, the time and the place for him to help us heal this country right now before we get split any further is for him to take that leadership position. He is our president. We expect that. We need that more than ever before. And you're right. He could be a hero, a true hero, and go down as a truly an outstanding president as far as in the annals of history.
That's what what you said earlier. He's got the base. They're with him. They're not going anywhere. And I when he first got elected, I said, you know what? He wants to go down in history as one of the great presidents of all time. And the way to do it, you have your base. All you have to do is reach across a little bit, just a little bit. And the entire universe will line up with you. That was always one thing. And understanding his desire to be loved, I thought that was going to happen. But no, he doubles down, he triples down. That's who he is.
I don't know who's feeding that, because I don't know whether they're just the pace or the people around. He has some people around him. I'm just thinking he needs some other people around him who really care about him being that president, going down in the annals of history of being a great president. If that's the case, then now we've got to switch. You're not running again. This is your last term. So, Mr. President, now is when your leadership has got to rise to a level that no one's ever seen before. And that happens with a compassion. You can have both. You can basically have that leadership quality and put compassion too. And there's nothing weak about that at all.
So how come you left public service? We miss you.
Well, Donnie, I've been at it for 42 years, buddy, and I didn't want to be carried out of the
Yeah.
place. I, I've been blessed with good health. I'm 78 and I feel like I'm 50 or 60. But with that being said, I know Mother Time you can't outrun her. And on the other time, I have a lot left in the tank. So I'm doing everything I can. I'm working with my daughter. She started what we call AmericansTogether.com. I hope you and all your followers will get on that and just see what you think. We're trying to educate the public.
What's that name? What's the name again?
It's AmericansTogether.com.
Okay.
That's all you need.
Okay.
You get on that and see what you think. She has some great people around her. They're trying to show wherever you may live in America how the political system affects you and what you need. You either like it or how you have to change it. If you don't like the way your area is district and they've gerrymandered you, if you don't like the way the primary is, and you go to vote and you say you're an independent, and they say, sorry, it's a closed primary, you can't vote. That's not the representative form of democracy we have. And we've got to open that up, but people just don't know. And Donnie, I'm to the point right now to where I've said in the book and so many things, if you want to know, coming from a small rural community in a coal mining area in Appalachia in Farmington, West Virginia, and being set in the office of the pinnacle of power with the President of the United States, and I've got to look at him now and say, Mr. President, I want you to succeed. I just can't go along with this piece of legislation because I told President Biden, who's a good man, I like him, but we've been friends for a long time, but I said, Mr. President, this is not who I am. It wasn't how I was raised. You and I are the same vintage. And this big BBB bill, which could be $10 trillion, will throw us into a tailspin. And I said, I'm from the school John Kennedy asked not what your country can do for you, what you can do for your country. And I said, Mr. President, we passed this piece of legislation, which you say is your marquee legislation. You're going to change the psychic of the nation to how much more can my country do for me. I wasn't raised that way. I'm sorry, Mr. President. I'll help any way I can. But this is wrong, and I can't go home and explain it. Now, that's tough. And you better have some roots that give you the courage to do what needs to be done. And I'm thankful for that. The book will tell you how I got there.
The book also taught you very candid about some of the regrets you have with some of the things for voting against the Affordable Care Act, gun control. When do you get to a point in your career where you're comfortable enough with yourself to say, you know what, I missed that one? I mean, does that come with time? Does that come with...
no, yeah. I'll tell you what I missed. You know what I missed? I missed Don't Ask, Don't Tell.
Yeah.
Okay, the Don't Ask, Don't Tell, when I was first in Congress, I'm sitting there in the Armed Services meeting, Donnie, and Don't Ask, Don't Tell, they were trying to eliminate it, okay, under Obama. And basically Bill Clinton put that in there because he didn't want to start throwing some good quality people out just because they might be gay. And if they were identified as gay, they had to leave this armed services. So he put Don't Ask, Don't Tell. They said, okay, it's time to get rid of that completely because, gays should be allowed to serve in the military. Well, I didn't know anything about this. I just came from being the governor. I'm learning about the armed services, and I heard all the Joint Chiefs of Staff, and they were going down line by line, each one of them, Army, Navy, Air Force, and they got to the Marines. The Marine Commandant says, only thing I'm asking you all to do, we've got 2 wars going on in Afghanistan and Iraq. I've got 50% of my troops deployed right now. This is a major policy change in the middle of a war, and it might be deadly for my soldiers. I would ask you all to postpone it. I agreed with him. And then I got chastised for it. So I'm doing an event somewhere. Rachel Maddow was there too. And I didn't know Rachel all that well, but I knew she come from a further left than I ever had imagined. But anyway, she's a good person and she was nice. But they asked a question. I was talking. She said, oh, I have a question to ask. I want to ask the senator, how come you were against getting rid of Don't Ask, Don't Tell? And this and that, like almost, are you homophobic? And I says, Rachel, I made a mistake. I truly did. What I heard that day, I made my decision based on what I heard from one of the top generals that had troops deployed. You know what? He was wrong. I was wrong to believe that. I should have checked it further. I'm sorry I made a mistake, and it has not affected the performance in our military.
As a guy who spent most of his life as a Democrat, now as an independent, my fear for the Democratic Party is they're lurching so far left that that's where the quote unquote energy is in the party. That's a losing proposition. And I'm concerned with the example of, you have AOC with all energy around her. You have Mandami who's going to win in New York, that the party's going to go, that's the winning formula. That's what we need to do. And it's a terrible mistake.
Donnie, here's the thing. Since November, the election in November 2024, The Democrats have lost 160,000 people who have unregistered as Democrats. The Republicans have gained 200,000. But the most dominant of all is the one you and I belong to, no party affiliation, independence. And I believe this country is ripe for the independent American Party to pull things back together. So people that were in the grand old party want to be grand again, they can't. People in the Democratic Party that were responsible and still compassionate, they've lost that too. We got a place for them. And I think it might be right. Might be time.
One of the great things about the book, it usually is the forward. We've got Nick Saban, a childhood friend of yours. Yeah. You guys share so many beliefs. Give me a favorite Nick Saban story.
Well, Nick Saban, but I can tell you a cute story and everything. We both were raised in our family businesses. His dad had a little golf filling station, and his mother had a little Dairy Queen. We never knew him as Nick. We called him brother. Yeah. Because his dad was Nick Sr. He'd be Nick Jr. But his mother told his older sister, Deanie, go tell your little brother to get this. Take this over to little brother. Make him take it over to your dad. Boom, boom. Before little brother turned into just a brother. That's all we ever knew him by. And to this day, he'll say, I don't think I ever want to see another black car. And I said, what? He says, let me tell you, Joe, every time my dad had a black car where he had to wash it and we had to wax it, I was the one that washed and waxed it. And I had to wax it twice because he didn't like the streaks in a black car. I never want to see a black car again. and the other cute story is that, we've been lifelong friends and we vacation together and go everything. We talk all the time. And I told him, I said, hey, first of all, he was at Michigan State. He left Michigan State. Boom, real quick, went to LSU. Won a national championship. Boom, real quick, he was pulled over to Miami Dolphins, and then he made a mistake because I told him not to do it. I said, you're not a pro coach. You are
a teacher.
You are a maker of men. You're a teacher. You should stay where you are. So then he calls me, and he says, Joe, I made a mistake. We got to get out of here. And I say, hey, buddy, okay, here's where I've evaluated it this way. We can't go to Michigan because you left it the night there at Michigan State, so Michigan's down on us. We can't go to Louisiana. We left LSU. Now we're going to leave Florida. We still got 47 states. We're okay.
Let's start with Alabama.
And that's where he went, and history's been made.
Senator, before I let you go, give me some words of optimism about why you think things are going to be okay.
Well, we've always recouped. I mean, Donnie, I'm of the vintages. I remember the 60s. I remember John Kennedy getting assassinated, a 16-year-old boy, junior in high school. And basically somebody who got excited in the 1960s as a 13-year-old boy when the Kennedys were coming all through West Virginia and got us all excited. And
they were at your kitchen table.
They were at the kitchen table. Yes, Ted, and the team was there. And I saw all this and I watched it and I says, how in the world could the President of the United States ever be assassinated in this great country? And I mean, my world was shocked and rocked. And then I saw Bobby Kennedy and I saw Martin Luther King and I saw the United States of America, all the major cities on fire and the riots and the Vietnam War. And, we had friends coming back every week in caskets. I didn't think we'd ever survive. I really didn't. And we did. We did. And I said, listen, this country's stronger. The thing that worries me more now, because now you can spread these misnomers and all this irrational chatter back and forth through social media. And I've always said, Donnie, you're entitled to your own opinion. You're just not entitled to create your own facts to support your crazy opinion. But you can find someone on social media that will support your crazy opinion. And they'll give you crazy facts that you like, and they'll say, I told you it was so. That's what we're fighting.
And once you put AI into that, it's mind-numbing.
Oh, Donnie, AI, basically, you won't know who's who. Yeah. You won't know what voice is what and where it's coming at you. And if we don't put the guardrails, and the President of the United States can make that leadership right now, they will change it if they have the leadership to do it. Their legislature knows it has to be changed. We messed up in the early 1990s by not putting guardrails on internet, and we see what happened. Yeah. They can teach you how to build a bomb and how to do anything nefarious in the whole world on an internet. And let me tell you one thing. You can't get on TikTok and see what you're seeing in America in China.
No, you can't do it. Isn't that amazing? Senator Joe Manchin, I can't tell you how much I appreciate it. I've always been a big fan. You are a man of the people. I wish you were still in public service. I understand why you're not. The book is dead center in defense of common sense. It is a must read. Thank you for your time. I know how busy
you are. Here we are, John. Tell them to go buy the book. It's on sale now.
I'm going to do my marketing right now. I'm going to put my marketing hat on. It's on sale right now. Go get it. If you're a Republican, you need to read it. If you're a Democrat, you need to read it. If you're an independent, if you're an American, you need to read it. There's the book, dead center right now. Joe Manchin, thank you, my friend.
Thank you, Donnie. I appreciate it very much. Let's get together soon.
I would love that. You stay well.
Thank you.
Everybody, thanks for watching. If you like it, hit that subscribe button. And we love having you here watching On Brand. And just don't miss any future episodes. So don't forget to hit that subscribe button. We'll see you next time.